going to break you from the inside. Yes, you. The one who's always there. The one who says yes even when they're falling apart. The one who replies instantly. The one who offers help before anyone even asks. The one who doesn't. Know how to say, "That's enough." Do you recognize yourself? Then listen closely. This isn't a gentle invitation to change. This is a raw warning. You are burning out, and no one's noticing. Worse, no one seems to care. You've mistaken generosity for submission. You think you're being kind, but really you're giving yourself away, unprotected. You've built your identity around being useful, available, present. But here's the dagger. The more available you are, the less people value you. It's not fair, but it's real. People don't respect what's always there. They get used to it, they normalize it. You become the background. And what happens to the background? It's there until it's not. No one misses it, because it was never the focus. And you, trying not to disturb, became invisible. You blurred yourself out. We live in a world that doesn't reward unconditional giving. It rewards scarcity, strategy, mystery. Does it hurt? Of course. But Machiavelli knew this centuries ago. Power doesn't come from blind goodness, it comes from control, from knowing when to give and when to withdraw, from creating desire not through presence, but through absence. Ever noticed how some names light up a room even when they're not there? How some people shift the entire energy just by showing up? That's not luck. That's design, strategy, measured presence. But you're everywhere, all the time. And that makes you invisible. Here's the brutal irony. The more you give, the less you're worth, because your constant presence has lost the emotional weight it once held. You're not making yourself loved. You're making yourself disposable. And this is where the psychology of desire kicks in. What can't be easily had is wanted. What's always there is taken for granted. It doesn't matter if you're a good person. The world doesn't run on moral rules. It runs on perception, and you've unknowingly shaped the perception that you're always available, always willing, always ready. The result? You become predictable. And the human mind? Predictable doesn't excite, it doesn't impress, it doesn't get valued. You've been praised for being good, but they've forgotten the cost of having you, because it costs them nothing. You show up even when they haven't earned it. You're not needed, you just are, and that condemns you. You're not here to save everyone. You're here to protect your essence, because if you spend it on everyone, you'll have nothing left for yourself. How many days have you ended exhausted without knowing why? How often do you give everything and get crumbs in return? It's not because the world is broken. It's because you haven't learned to put a price on yourself. When you don't set boundaries, others don't know where the line is. And like children with no rules, they'll push and push until you break. And when you finally do, they won't say what a kind soul they had. They'll say something's wrong with them. And then they'll replace you. Because that's how the game works. Goodness without strategy is a sentence. It's not that you should stop being good. It's that you need to be smart with your light. Not everyone deserves to see it. Not everyone deserves your energy. And not everyone who claps for you is truly on your side. Some just love how easy it is to get what you give. Machiavelli said, "A prince should appear virtuous, but never be fully so, because virtue without strength is destruction." Sound familiar? You've been virtuous to the bone, and that's made you fragile. But no one protects fragile things that give themselves away without measure. They use it, they exploit it, and when it no longer shines, they throw it away. Now comes the hardest truth. You might be surrounded by people who don't value you, but they're not the real problem. You are. You're the one who taught them that you'll always be there, that they don't have to fight for you, that you're not a prize, you're just a guaranteed option, and that kills respect, kills desire, kills connection. Do you want to be valued? Learn to leave. Learn to stop replying so fast. Learn to leave them on red. Learn to put yourself first, without guilt, because if you don't, no one else will. Respect is born from boundaries, not from being constantly available. You know who's desired, who's respected, who's feared, the one who controls their presence, the one who appears only when it matters, the one who isn't afraid to disappear, because they know their worth isn't in being everywhere. It's in what they create when they choose to show up. Look at the greats in history. They weren't the kindest. They were the wisest, the most strategic. They gave yes, but they knew when. They knew to whom, they knew why, and most importantly, they knew when to stop. If today you feel invisible, it's not because the world is blind. It's because you've shown up too much, too often. And now, no one looks anymore. You've lost the mystery. You've lost the impact. And maybe you've lost yourself, because when you live for others, you forget what you need. And that is the slowest kind of death. Not physical, but emotional, spiritual, internal. The world is full of martyrs, good people who burned out trying to save everyone. But the ones who changed the world, they managed their fire, they didn't give it away to everyone. They knew that sometimes the most noble act is knowing when to walk away. Does it hurt to be ignored? Then ask yourself, how much have you allowed it? Is it hard to set boundaries? Then ask yourself, what is your worth? Because on an emotional scale, where you're always the one who bends, you're teaching people that you come with no cost. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about protecting your fire. You can't give light if you've gone out. You can't be a lighthouse without a strong foundation. And you can't love anyone properly until you love yourself fiercely. Psychology is clear. The human mind values scarcity, and you've been giving abundance without limits. The result? You've become the landscape. And no one admires the landscape they see every day. So start today. Be quiet. Observe, withdraw without announcement. Disappear without explanation. Then see who looks for you. See who misses you. See who feels your absence. That's where your value begins again. This isn't about playing games. It's about reclaiming your power. Because as long as you're available to everyone, you'll never be truly available to yourself. And that's the most painful kind of betrayal, the one you do to yourself. So, choose. Choose when to show up. Choose who gets your energy. Choose how you appear. Because when you control your presence, you control the narrative. And whoever controls the narrative controls their destiny. Stop giving yourself away. Start offering yourself. There's a difference. The one who offers themselves, it makes people wait. And the one who makes people wait becomes an experience, not a routine. And you? You weren't born to be a routine. You were born to be unforgettable. So disappear. Let the world feel your absence. Let them realize what they had when they didn't have to work for it. Because true respect doesn't begin when you're everywhere. It begins when you choose to be only for yourself. Now, we're not going to repeat ourselves. We're going deeper, opening a new door in the same labyrinth. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you has already started to crack. And that's good, because breaking is the first step to rebuilding yourself differently. Let's talk about something no one likes to touch: emotional debt. The kind you create when you give without being asked. Sounds strange, right? But think about it. Every time you help when no one asked. Every time you anticipate someone's needs. Every time you fix what's not yours to fix. You're unconsciously creating an expectation. You're planting a kind of emotional debt. But here's the kicker: no one asked you to. No one signed that emotional contract. You did, and then you get frustrated because they didn't return the favor, because they didn't recognize the effort, because they didn't say thank you. But what did you expect? It's like giving someone an expensive gift and getting mad when they don't use it the way you wanted. But ask yourself, who asked for the gift? You want the harshest truth? Most of the people who say they love you don't actually love you. They love the functional version of you, the one who solves, who shows up, who never fails. They love the exhausted version, the one who keeps smiling, even when they're shattered inside. That version is convenient, because it asks for nothing, because it never complains, because it doesn't require reciprocity. But let me ask you this. When are you going to love yourself like you deserve? When will you stop measuring your worth by what you can do for others, and start feeling it for who you are, even when you're doing nothing? Here's a demolishing psychological truth. What is not defended is degraded. What sets no boundaries is devalued, and you've been your own enemy for years, letting them carve pieces off you every time someone needed something, and you did it with a smile. You acted like nothing was wrong, but something was, and still is. Every time you betray yourself, something inside you breaks, something that later you don't even know how to rebuild. You want to reclaim your respect? Start to discomfort. Say no. Stay silent. When you used to rush in and solve, don't be there. And watch. Watch who stays. Watch who sees you, even when you're not useful. That right there. That's the purest test of love. And respect. Who stays with you when you have nothing left to give. And prepare yourself, because many will leave. But that's not a loss. That's a cleansing. And after the cleansing comes the air, the truth, the peace of knowing. You're no longer playing a character. You're finally being yourself. Does that sound selfish? Perfect. Because they've taught you for years that caring for yourself was selfish. But it's not. It's survival. No one is going to dive into the fire to save you if you won't do it first. No one is going to make you a priority if you keep leaving yourself for last. So this is where this part ends. But something bigger begins. The reconquest of your space, the recovery of your voice, the return of your power. You're not here to be useful. You're here to be real. And reality? Sometimes it hurts, but it always sets you free. And now, listen carefully, because you're about to cross a point of no return. What comes next isn't a conclusion, it's a choice. Because if you've made it this far, you will never look at your life the same way again. You can't keep saying, "I'm just like this," as if it were a birthmark. What you are has been a construction, a sum of concessions, silences, fears, and masks. But right now, you have a brutal opportunity to finally be yourself, without apologizing for it. Look around you. The world is full of empty people consuming themselves to be accepted, juggling emotions to avoid rejection. But not you. You've made it this far because something inside you is screaming, part of you that's done with being the background, done being the pawn, done being the tool. That part of you wants to be the protagonist. It wants to breathe without permission. It wants to live without conditions. And do you know what the most addictive thing about change is? The silence. The silence that arrives when you stop being their emotional entertainment. Suddenly, they go quiet. Suddenly, they leave, and then, at last, you can hear yourself. Your voice without filters, your essence without interference. This is not a happy ending, it's an uncomfortable beginning. The beginning of your discomfort with the comfort of others. Because yes, you're going to annoy, you're going to disappoint. You're going to break bonds that were built on the lie that you were unconditional. And that's necessary. You can't build your truth on a rotten foundation. So from now on, don't ask permission to withdraw. Don't apologize for protecting yourself. Don't explain your silence. Let them ask where you are. Let them look for you. Let them squirm. Because right there in their discomfort, your true power is born. In what doesn't need to be explained because it's felt. Now, lift your head, not like someone finishing a video, but like someone returning from the underworld. With a new identity. Because this wasn't a message. This was a mirror. And if you made it here, it's because something in your reflection has started to awaken. Before you close this video, I want you to leave a mark. Not for me. For type this in the comments. I'm learning to retreat without guilt. It doesn't matter if no one likes it. If no one replies. That comment will be your mark of fire. Your silent commitment to your new self. And if this stirred you, if it made you think, if it made you angry, or cry in silence, subscribe. Because this is only the beginning. Here we don't talk to talk. We come to disarm ourselves, to tear ourselves apart inside, to rebuild with intention. And if you're ready for that, welcome. This channel is your uncomfortable refuge. And now, goodbye. But not just any goodbye. A warning. Disappear. Yes, disappear. Let the world get used to your absence. Do it for yourself. To see who asks for you, who misses you, who remembers you. And when you return, let them not recognize you. Let your return be so powerful, so firm, so clear, they don't know whether to greet you or fear you, because the one who learns to leave also learns to return with fire in their eyes. See you in the next descent or not, you decide.